Okay, we're on. So, this is going to be my pre-recorded commentary for the Simpsons Arcade Game, which I have said before in another commentary. It holds a special nostalgic place in my heart. Man, this is so unlike Smithers. I mean, assisting Mr. Burns is one thing, but robbing a jewelry store and kidnapping Maggie? I get he has... Okay, let's focus on the game now. This has some nostalgic meaning since I remember this game at the old Grand Forks Holiday Inn, like before... Oh, by the way, we're playing as Homer. I actually figured out a way to play as Homer thanks to a YouTube commenter. We can actually play as any of the characters used here instead of being stuck on the default, which is Marge. Which is a shame, even though she can just whack a vacuum at people, which is probably a huge advantage, all things considered. But for some reason, Homer doesn't have a weapon on him, and yet for some reason I want to play as him. So, like I said, I really miss the old Grand Forks Holiday Inn, the one that didn't have an express. The last time I went there was over 20 years ago, and then by the time I went back to the States again 4 years later, we couldn't go for like 4 years, probably for some... We could have gone in the summer of 2011 because 9/11 hadn't happened yet, but I still don't understand why we didn't go in 2002 or 2003, but my summer was hectic anyway in 2003. A good chunk of the time in that year I was suffering from stomach cramps. I don't know if it had to do with... Well, anyway, I actually do remember exactly when I first finished the whole game. And it's an easy date to remember. June 13th, 2005. It was the same day Michael Jackson got acquitted. Also, don't expect me to do this all the time because unless I mysteriously magically find a way to get the sound to work right, I'm sorry about that, what you had to hear in the non-commentary version, but that's kind of what happened here. So yeah, like I said, June 13th, 2005, I actually didn't want to... I actually tried to ignore all the news stories as possible because, well, I won't talk about it. I actually did root for MJ to be acquitted, and I was flipping happy. I'm sorry to say I do not believe a thing anyone in Leaving Neverland says. Heck, there's a YouTube video on here about the lies of Leaving Neverland. I haven't watched it though, but maybe I should focus on the game and The Simpsons itself because this is what the game is, the Simpsons game. I played this on playretrogames.com, which is a huge nostalgia pit for old games of the past, cartridge games and PlayStation basically. It's been feeding my nostalgic needs at Christmas since 2014, and if Flash goes, then I'm really going to be sad since I'm not sure the emulators can work with anything but Flash. And it's challenging enough because I had to make sure that I keep the mouse inside the screen at all times. Otherwise, if I pushed the arrow down button, it would make the screen scroll down and I'd lose the game. Lose the screen, actually, and you'd see too much. I definitely should have refilled my coffee cup with tea. So, I guess it's safe to say that I'm older than The Simpsons if you count the Simpsons roasting on an open fire. Like 2 months older. 3 months older if you don't count Simpsons roasting on an open fire. Yeah, I'm basically one of those... I'm probably going to be the last living person that remembers the time when The Simpsons didn't exist. An interesting thing I heard is that Matt Groening actually came up with this on the spot because he had second thoughts about pitching Life in Hell. Whether if it was successful or not, Fox would have owned Life in Hell, and he decided to come up with something on the spot so no matter what, he wouldn't lose Life in Hell. Well, that was an ingenious move. I mean, how often does that happen? You come up with something on the spot and... basically, yeah. And the show will never end. And let's face it, it's not going to end now, especially since now The Simpsons have ownership in it and the show's on Disney+. And if The Simpsons are going to own this game, maybe they should bring back their video game department if they still have it, because... Wait, what am I saying? Of course they still have it. They just released Kingdom Hearts last year. They should put this game on Nintendo Switch so they could give me a reason to get a Switch. Or a handheld game at least. And remake the game even and try to incorporate the current characters, because this game was released in 1991. Like when The Simpsons were starting to get really popular. Which means you wouldn't see most of the characters you had seen that were made during that were created during the post-classic era. I mean, if they remade it, you could have had Duff Man hang out at Moe's bar or something like that. And I'd replace actually, they could make a sequel to the game or something. Hey man, except this time Homer has to save his family, who's kidnapped by some cloaked dude, and for some reason it's a bunch of Frank Grimes clones. And now I'm gonna ruin Homer's enemy for everyone, because according to the Great Louse Detective, apparently Hank Grimes had a son, and according to Kent Brockman, during when Homer's enemy took place, Grimes was 35 and was 18 when the silo explosion happened, meaning 17 years have gone by since the silo explosion, which basically kind of helps my theory that Frank Grimes caused the silo explosion because he wanted to get away from, avoid the baby mama at all costs or something. He wanted to fake his death so they would leave him alone. Or so why did it explode? The same reason why that caused his death, because the darn plan blew up in his face. And I've actually posted that in a YouTube comment in the video Sideshow Bob Says He's Homer, and I've gotten some likes. Someone actually said my theory's plausible, but The Simpsons hopscotches with continuity. So basically my point is, Grimy is no better than anyone else in Springfield. Because, let's face it, he carried on the tradition of parents abandoning their children, just like his parents abandoned him. I mean, Homer's a better... If it were up to me, Homer's enemy would have ended the same way as the Stickin' Around episode Casablanca, except we make him do every dangerous thing Homer did, jumping off Springfield Gorge, but then again, Homer was doing this to teach Bart a lesson, trying to stop a runaway monorail, trying to close that hatch or that door on the space shuttle. Yeah, sorry dude, your jealousy means nothing because NASA wanted blue-collar people because the ratings were sucking for space launches, and you, sir, do not fit the blue-collar type. So anyway, I was going to say, Homer is a better parent than Frank Grimes is. Kearney is a better parent. Kirk Van Houten is a better parent. Peter Griffin is a better parent, even though, let's face it, he isn't a better parent, and it's an entirely different show. Well, now that I've basically hashed out my frustration at that one particular episode that everyone likes, but in my opinion, that's when The Simpsons really jumped the shark. Let's go back to the game. Apparently they were doing this before Treehouse of Horror 3 was made. And I guess we passed the comic book store already, but this was made before the comics came out. And there was actually a point where I thought maybe the comics were actually better than the show at some points. Even in some cases, they actually took some episodes idea of this from the comics. Like, for example, Simpsons Comics number 20, Campaign USA comes to town and everyone hides from it and is sick of it. But E Pluribus Swigum was actually a better story, in my opinion. So, they'll bring up Clinton and Fred Thompson in that episode, but they didn't bring... You know what, I'm wondering if they... You know what, I can't delve too much into this, because this would just make me talk way too much. I don't know why, but something just flashed on my screen. Everything's fine, though. So, like I said in the video description, this took up a whole gigabyte on my gigabyte, so as soon as I'm finished this and uploading this, both of these are gonna go into my into the big thumb drive I bought earlier this year after I started doing commercials. Yeah, they're going to take a break for a while because it's almost gaming season. I don't see a point in uploading commercials while I'm uploading gaming videos. My next Playversary special will be the We're in Time full playing, which will not be a commentary. If the pandemic is still bad around Canadian Thanksgiving, then I will make it then. Because I don't see a point in going to visit an elderly relative in Stonewall if there's a pandemic going on, even though I've seen the survival rate between the elderly actually not that dire. I mean, actually my aunt had smoked in the past. I wouldn't risk it, even though I have been washing my hands and wearing a mask out in public. I'm not taking my chances with this thing. Which is why I'm super sad that I probably won't get to go to the States this year. I mean, I am not against spending a vacation in Manitoba as long as we get to do our annual hotel vacation. And because even I need to get out of this town for a bit. I really can't wait to go to Red River Books this week. I'm gonna see to it that Thursdays are travel days. Yeah, there wasn't really a boss in this one. I mean, I'm hoping by then yeah, even if everything is better, it still won't be, well, you know, they keep saying this. I don't know what's true about it. what's fake about it. All I know is that the virus exists and it's ruining everyone's normals, even mine. But Phase 3 went into place last week, and now the cases are going up a bit. There were 4 new cases yesterday after we've had a long streak of no new cases, which is... Well, now they're saying that the hockey will be back at the end of July, like July 31st. Well, that's fine with me, because at least... You know what I like most about those elevator things in games? You could watch the people you're fighting fall. Let gravity do your job for you. Maybe I'll try and play Streets of Rage or something, which was one of my favorite Genesis games. Okay, Moe's Tavern is not that fancy, unless this was a speakeasy entrance. Jeez, this game was predicting Simpsons episodes long before the episodes were made. So I don't know when this game was released. It could have been released during Season 2, or between the 2nd and 3rd season, or during the 3rd season. I just wish they made a console game out of it, or a PC game out of it. I mean, they made a PC game out of Daytona, USA. Maybe one day I'll get Virtual Springfield or something. I haven't played the Tapped Out game, even though I could since I have a smartphone. I've had one since 2017. Actually, 2016. I've had my current phone since 2017, and I was actually kind of upset to lose my flip phone on the bus. It had so many pictures in there, like from an Aerosmith concert, and when I saw Queen with Adam Lambert in 2014. Say what you will about Adam Lambert, but he brought Queen with him. Honest to goodness Queen, and he wasn't even singing his own stuff. I was more excited to see Queen than to see Adam Lambert, but I'll take what I can get because they never came here with Freddie. I actually do have the Aerosmith 9 Lives album, which actually comes with the game, which is kind of a precursor for Dance Dance Revolution, but those copyright claims will kick my butt. I'm not risking it. I actually consider 9 Lives to be Aerosmith's Sgt. Pepper's, even though it's not really a concept album. But then again, I consider Katy Perry's Teenage Dream to be her bad album. And by that I mean so many hits off that CD. But back to The Simpsons. I haven't really been watching the new episodes recently. I quit when they got to episode 500 because that was mean. I mean, if it were up to me, the episode would have ended the same way as, well, Margin Chains, or someone could have tipped off Hollywood and said, don't bother celebrities, the people you actually want to see in Springfield were kicked out. And then the Mirror would be like, good lord, I had no idea they only wanted to see The Simpsons. Come to think of it, that could have prevented Lisa Goes Gaga, which is just as widely hated as that 90s show, but I actually have positive things to say about that 90s show. The problem was, it was made in an era where people weren't exactly nostalgic for the 90s yet. And that was the same year I let Carmen Sandiego back into my life. Go. So have I played Bart's Nightmare? A little bit of it. Have I played that Itchy and Scratchy game? A little bit. Have I played Bart vs. the Space Mutants? Well, yeah, but I agree with Watch Mojo. That game's a little difficult to me. I can see why the Simpsons games didn't exactly take off. I can tell you about the day I saw the movie. I had actually been back from the States for about a week, and I was looking forward to this movie. I'm not the avid moviegoer I used to be. I ended up seeing the film in theaters 3 times. Once on the day it opened with my mom, less than a week later with my dad, and when it hit the cheap seats, I saw it with my friend. And man, that movie was actually the funniest thing I had seen in a while. You know, I think I know why no one knows where Springfield is. Because at the end of Trash of the Titans, the whole town was moved 5 miles down the road. It's like whenever someone gets close to figuring out where Springfield is, they have to move it 5 miles down the road. Why? Oh, right. My mom asked me to do the dishwasher here. I think I need to instill a rule in regards to gaming is that she gets 1 token interruption, and that's it. Anything she needs to do, she can either wait or get it herself. This game took me an hour to finish. And, oh, by the way, want to know how I got 99 credits? You push the shift number button many, many times. I would do a sample of Revolution X, but actually, if World of Long Plays didn't get caught, then what makes me think I will? It's just digitized versions of their songs. And I guess giving rock stars a game was a short-lived fad, since only Aerosmith and Michael Jackson got it. I actually learned that Revolution X was going to either go to Guns N' Roses or Public Enemy. For some reason, Public Enemy would have made so much sense. But Flav would have driven that woman, that antagonist, crazy, I bet. Yeah, I've seen Flavor of Love. I'm old enough to remember all the celebrity stuff. I miss that. What has VH1 become? And it doesn't help that much more music is now gone, which was essentially... You know, I wonder if this version of Smithers ended up becoming a model for the blue-haired lawyer, who's just known as the blue-haired lawyer, but the writers have insisted that he's based on Roy Cohn. I will nickname that blue-haired lawyer Conroy, or Conroy, or something. Oh look, it's the real Bigfoot. Aw, are you mad because they mistook me for you? It's not my fault. Ugh, bees. Wait, another Bigfoot? Where was I? I think I've delved enough into the blue-haired lawyer and all that stuff. So, should I address the elephant in the room about the recasts? although I'm disappointed about how all the black characters on the show are going to be recast, I am actually eager to see who else is out there besides Kevin Michael Richardson and Cree Summers, who, by the way, voiced Penny on Inspector Gadget and Elmira Duff in Tiny Toon Adventures, both Caucasian. But Cree Summers is not the current voice of Penny, so it's not the eat campaigning fish people. See what I mean? You get to watch them fall. By the way, this was made before Simple Simpson. I actually consider season 18 to be the last good season of the show, in my opinion. And I just realized, since the Simpsons are owned by Disney, can they now do Hocus Pocus for Treehouse of Horror? Easy Bake Coven doesn't count because Hocus Pocus was not actually pop culture. Oh, hi Sideshow Bob. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in jail? Yeah, this was before Sideshow Bob went nuts. Ironically, he's not even in the movie, but he was in the Simpsons ride. Where was I? Oh god, a bear. So I consider season 18 to be the last good season of the show, considering the content. If there is one thing I hate about the episode, it's Boys of Bummer. That was mean. They treated Bart worse than the Cubs treated Steve Bartman after that little flub. Thank God the Cubs have since won in the World Series since then. Too bad. I'm just trying to talk about The Simpsons here, and for some reason I keep going off topic. So, I actually have seasons 1 through 7 on DVD. Basically, the DVDs are the only place you can watch Stark Raven Dad now. Thanks a lot, Leaving Neverland. You know what's ironic about the whole recast controversy? South Park doesn't really have to do anything because they actually had a black person voice his token on the show. But I don't want to talk too much about this issue because I just want to talk about gaming. Oh yeah, I have played I've played the South Park pinball game. It's actually quite fun, but the Simpsons pinball game is actually funnier. Actually, come to think of it, the Simpsons is where I first heard of most celebrities, like case in point Michael Jackson or Ringo Starr or Kim Basinger and Alec Baldwin and Ron Howard. Oh, you want to know something funny? Oh my, I'm going back on that topic. Well, they were originally going to have Whoopi Goldberg voice Maggie if they ever decide to let her speak. But I guess they decided they're never going to let her speak since... Oh, Marge. This isn't a marriage crisis episode. I'm trying to get our baby back. I guess we weren't supposed to fight those. Where was I? I consider season 17 to be awful. I mean, do you know how many marriage crisis episodes there were in that season? 4. That's 4 too many. I mean, yeah, every episode shouldn't exactly be like how Marge wanted to change Itchy and Scratchy, but it's getting old. What do you expect? You've been married to him forever, girl. I mean, if you were married to someone else, you probably wouldn't get to go on these trips. You probably wouldn't get to do all these crazy things. I mean, sure, your sisters have gone on these trips, but at least you guys have never forced anyone to sit through the slideshows. You know, if they made a musical-based clip show, maybe they should have done a travel-based clip show. And this time, make Patty and Selma sit through them. Wahaha! Are you listening to me, Simpsons writers? Yeah, they haven't done a clip show since Gump Roast, and that was over 18 years ago. Excuse me a minute. Those are not the bosses, trust me. Besides, I think it had been established that if Homer did go to hell, Satan would look like Flanders. But then again, I don't think Treehouse of Horror segments are canon. The Bart Devils aren't the bosses. That is! A bowling ball that's slightly taller than Homer. Yeah, in the first couple of years, Homer was obsessed with bowling, and they barely bring it up since then. Oh, by the way, in case anyone cares, I'm actually known as Comic Book Gal on the No Homers forum. Because it was actually a moniker I used to have back when Fox had sites for their shows. Actually, they used to have a forum for The Simpsons, which I ended up going on starting when I was 12. Yeah, I know, I snuck in like months before I was supposed to go in, but who cares? That was 8 years ago. I mean 18 years ago, which was actually when I started watching new episodes weekly. I mean, at least in the classic era, Bob had diabolical schemes, but then the post-classic era came along and he became a murderous psychopath, homicidal maniac. I mean, at least the events in Brother from Another Series wasn't his fault, and yet they still arrest him. And Prankster Rap basically proved that Springfield has no police commissioner. I don't think they had one before Wiggum got promoted to that. Which could probably explain everything. Like, yeah, I think I walked away from the Springfield state thing. My theory is either Springfield is the state, or they keep moving the town 5 miles down the road to another state because they would have gotten because everyone knows how corrupt the town is. The head of the nuclear power plant is a greedy SOB, and the chief of police accepts bribes and eats too much, and let's not go that far. And don't get me started on the mayor, because they know if someone finds Springfield, the jig would be up. And here's another interesting theory I have. Everyone is yellow because of the waste in the water, because of the nuclear waste in the water. I mean, why do you think the Griffins weren't yellow when they crossed over with the Simpsons? Sorry. Bad problem this morning. I'm trying to keep it as low as I possibly can. Channel 6. Okay, maybe this was released during the second season, because technically Lisa was still 7, and she's probably one of the few people that aged aside from Homer. Because one season he's 36, another he's 38, and, well, we don't see that anchor anymore because they decided to use Kent Brockman more often. I mean, even Scott Christian came back from the dead after a while, even though I kind of thought he was banished to the comics, never to be seen or heard from again, along with other one-episode wonder characters like their Muslim neighbors that only appeared on the show once. Bedknobs and broomsticks. I mean, boomsticks. I mean, my pods and boomsticks. Which basically gave Dan Castellaneta another excuse to perform as a genie again, because he took over when Disney did not keep their word about putting the genie on the marketing and angering Robin Williams. But I said this on many YouTube comments before, and I'll say it again. Even if Disney didn't cheese off Robin Williams, he still likely wouldn't have done Return of Jafar or the TV series. Because I guess around the same time that happened, he was doing a little film called Mrs. Doubtfire. But that's just my guess. Hey, quit frying me, robots. I don't have a virus. I have a throat issue that hasn't gone. I've been stuck with since 2016, and it's given me some kind of sensitivity, which is why I have to be careful with the stuff I drink. I prefer to drink decaf tea, but my mother accidentally got the non-decaf. But I'm gonna finish the darn thing because we have it. So the American Association of Baseball is going to start their season this Friday, which makes me happy. We're gonna get some ish of sports after all. The Gold Eyes just won't play in Winnipeg this year. Kind of screams volumes when the AAB has gotten their selves together and the MLB hasn't. You know what would be useful? The cinder block chain that Homer used in Mona Lisa. Actually, here's another theory I have. Because I actually did math, and considering what age Homer was when Mother Simpson aired, he could still have been 36, or he could have been 38 or 39 by then. He was 38 by the next season. Which basically tells me that Homer was either 9 or 12 years old when Mona left. But it kind of wrecked another theory I had, which was, what if Grimey's parents were in the Springfield 7 as well, and Grimey was going to squeal, and that would be a reason to abandon them or something. But my theory there doesn't exactly hold water like the he did the silo explosion to himself theory. And I'm drawing a blank. You know, after I finish this, I should probably look up the Simpsons Arcade Game on Wikipedia. Maybe I can see if it was released on other platforms even. I mean, I know the game was re-released on as an app or something, but okay, here's where I went wrong. I should have just jump-in weapon thingy. By the way, if you want to play as anyone else, anyone other than Marge in this game, you can basically go to the control symbol and you can select player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, and set the controls, and voila! You can play as Homer, Bart, or Lisa. I think I meant to say, let's go back to a time when The Simpsons still had decent writing and Lisa ate meat. I mean, I like the Beatles and all, but I'm actually kind of upset that the only way they would get, the terms of getting the McCartneys to appear on the show was that Lisa stayed a vegetarian for the remainder of the series. But I guess they didn't get I guess they didn't count on the series still being on the air 25 years after Lisa the Vegetarian aired. I play Revenge of Shinobi, but I've never finished the game. Ever. I actually was looking forward to the Tokyo Olympics, but that's been delayed till next year. Which basically means I'm going to be watching a lot of TV this summer. I actually do have some plans for it though, because One of my plans includes watching a pup named Scooby-Doo again. I haven't watched it in a long time. Because after seeing Scoob, not only did it make me nostalgic for that series, it made me wish that Dick Dastardly and Muttley would have their own movie. No, seriously. If if the Warner Animation Group is going to do a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, they have to give Dastardly and Muttley their own film. But then people are probably gonna say that Despicable Me ruined a generation of bad guys. I mean, they could use any source material. They can, unless they have to pay. Okay, I hope Hanna-Barbera actually does own them now, because I actually found out why they weren't owned by Hanna-Barbera when Laugh Olympics came along. By the way, I'll be watching that too. In fact, I actually did a little research, and it turns out most of those Rottens, they're actually draft sketches of people of characters they want to use in pilots or shows they want to create, but those shows didn't get off the ground, or they couldn't afford to get Dastardly and Muttley back, which is why Mumbly went renegade. Oh yeah, apparently Mumbly was originally supposed to be a good guy. Hey, he had his own show even. Like, this was back in the day when they basically recycled theme songs. His show had the same theme song as Tom and Jerry for some reason. Heck, I think Dynomutt had the same theme song as Scooby-Doo did at one point. Come back here, Smithers! You know, Homer, you could have just climbed the copter and punched Smithers out. And actually, that would have been a bad idea since he's driving. So, like, for example, with Laugh Olympics, the character of Daisy Mayhem was actually originally supposed to be used for a Little Abner series that Hanna-Barbera wanted to make, but that pilot didn't get picked up, and so she's forever going to be known as a really rotten player. I mean, we all know why Dread Baron exists. But now I want to know. Well, actually, the Creeplies were probably a reused sketch of a one-time Flintstones character, neighbor or something, except they're Caucasian this time instead of green. But I want to know where everyone else came from. I know the Great Fondue was originally in a Yogi Bear book, but I want to know where everyone else came from. Those three brothers, for example. The octopus. I want to know where he came from. I don't remember where that genie came from that was on the Scooby-Doobies. I think he was made for that Dream of Genie crossover that the new Scooby-Doo movies did, which was actually an interesting concept. A concept they have since reused with today's celebrities, including Jaleel White of all people. Not that I'm against it, because I'm sure people would love to see a Family Matters revival. But I think I heard that Jaleel White didn't like doing the Oracle voice anyway. I wonder if he and Laura had children. Would they name one of their kids after Myra? Mostly to honor the actress that played her, since she actually passed away not long after Family Matters ended. Well, back to The Simpsons. Of course, this was kind of back when Mr. Burns was the main big bad. And we didn't have any idea how corrupt Mayor Quimby was. Actually, when you think about it, I think Bart Gets an F was the first appearance of Mayor Quimby. And yeah, as you notice in most tavern, Bleeding Gums Murphy makes a cameo appearance. Bombs away, dude. And now the final boss, Miss 1C Montgomery Burns. So where did Maggie end up going? I mean, obviously at the end we'll see her among the rubble. Oh man, this is gonna take 7 minutes. So if I can somehow find a way to get my computer to run fast and make the sound not be such an issue, I can do other games. I kind of want to do it just in case Flash goes bye-bye. Show off the games I played in my youth back when I had a console game. I'm well aware that they came out with a Sega Genesis Mini last year, and yeah, it was on my birthday and Christmas list, but I guess my parents wouldn't go for it. I mean, I would have liked even more if we could put cartridges in it, but we can't get what we want now, can we? Come on, Disney, would you please re-release and remaster this game? You remastered Mickey's Castle of Illusion. I mean, if I do get to play Castle Illusion, I could talk about how amazingly good Mickey and Minnie looks. But then again, if I play that game, I might end up talking a majority of the time about Once Upon a Time, which was actually a clever idea when you think about it, because aside from House of Mouse, haven't we all wanted to have the ultimate Disney princess crossover that we didn't get until Wreck-It Ralph became a thing? They spent a total of 4 minutes with the princesses in the movie, plus the part where they help save Ralph. Seriously, we need a Disney princess short with all the princesses or something. But then again, it wouldn't work because all the stories take place in different time periods. Heck, Prince Philip outright says in Sleeping Beauty that it's the 14th century. Well, that wouldn't have worked anyway. I mean, Pixar said themselves that the movies are all connected in a way, because you can clearly see Pizza Planet litter in A Bug's Life, and Dyneco is a sponsor of the races and cars, and it's a gas station in Toy Story. Jeez, that really doesn't work. And now we come to the hard part of the game. I mean, imagine the bosses they could have used in this day and age. Hell, we could even use Seymour Skinner's mother as a boss even, because we know what a control freak she is. I mean, she started off as so nice, so what made her go from zero to Sante Kim's? Minus the homicidal tendencies, but I digress. And I can still see those games at the old Holiday Inn. There are actually a couple of games with a siren on it. Heck, I remember there was one pinball game that I'm pretty sure was based on Caddyshack if it had a stuffed raccoon clutching a golf ball on it, if that's what it was. But then again, the art on the pinball clearly shows a woman holding a cell phone, and they didn't exactly have that type of phone back then. If anyone remembers the name of that game, please tell me, because I kind of want to go check it on YouTube or something and just watch it go for old time's sake. You know, just for the hell of it, they could have made Flanders a boss, even. I don't know why, though. And down you go. So, where the heck was Maggie during the fight? Was she hanging from a chandelier or something? Wait, she had her pacifier in her mouth this whole time? They just keep the jewel? I can think of so many things wrong with this. Which kind of makes me wonder, what was everyone else doing while they were on their mission? Well, I guess that's the end of it. There's like less than a minute to go. There's slow-moving credits because of how my computer is. So yeah, I'm doing the commentary right now. I'm actually looking at the game, but with the sound off on the game, because I want the commentary to, like, be heard or something like that. I'll probably keep the volume to a minimum or something when I do put this together, since, like I said, the sound wasn't good when I did this because my computer's slow. I don't have the gigabytes I had when I first got the computer, but if I had known what I was going to do, I would have done the gaming from Play Retro Games first, and then let my nostalgic educational gaming portion of my brain do its thing. Whoops. Yeah, I'm shocked that the recording didn't stop there, because I had said in the past that the recording program wouldn't do full screen gaming, which has cost me any opportunities to do Nancy Drew.